the U.S. has released more declassified information pertaining to the alleged Russian hacking. And this declassified report is supposed to provide more information, more evidence indicating that Russia not only hacked into the DNC, the RNC, but they also intended to have an impact on the outcome of the election. So one thing that they found, which I think is really interesting, is that some of the top Russian officials were found to have celebrated Trump winning the election. The report on Russian hacking delivered to President Obama Thursday says that U.S. intelligence picked up senior Russian officials celebrating Donald Trump's win. Also, highly classified intercepts illustrate Russian government planning and direction of multifaceted campaign by Moscow to undermine the integrity of the American political system. Now, one congressional staffer told NBC News that what you will see is that there were evolving goals over time. At the end, they were trying to elect Trump. Now, of course, Donald Trump does not like the fact that his win has been minimized or that these officials are providing evidence indicating that maybe Russia did have an impact. So he did tweet about this and said, they, meaning the Democrats, got beaten very badly in the election. I won more counties in the election than Ronald Reagan. They are very embarrassed about it. To some extent, it's a witch hunt. They just focus on this. By the way, getting beaten really badly would imply that your opponent didn't win millions of votes in the popular vote.
More than you.
More than you.
Millions of votes more than you. And look at the Reagan map.
But
the Reagan map is all red. Like, it's all red. It's not halvesies. Anyway, sorry, going back to you.
So they're providing more evidence. And look, do I think that this is going to lead to anything in terms of his presidency? No, he's our president. Nothing is going to change. Let's keep it real. What I'm concerned about, as I've been consistent on with the show or on the show, is what the future holds. Because if we just allow this to be something that we brush under the rug, well, what does it mean for future elections? And by the way, multifaceted means it had to do with more than just hacking. It had to do with spreading false, misleading information to the American people. And that information, of course, could have had some influence on the way people voted. And so, look, I'm concerned about the future of this country. And of course, Trump is going to belittle this because he doesn't want anyone to think that he didn't win fair and square. But this is now causing a rift between him and intelligence organizations, which, of course, is a very, very bad sign, especially when you need to have a good relationship between these organizations and the president-elect to ensure that, he keeps the country safe, he trusts the intel that these organizations gather. And it also, again, creates a problem for future elections. So
one of the litmus tests, there's a political scientist named Juan Linz, and he puts like a litmus test for things to look out for if you're afraid there's going to be a dictatorship, essentially. And one of them is undermining institutions in an elected government. And this is that. So if you're wondering what it is, if someone who says, despite 16 intelligence agencies kind of all agreeing on something, that those people are wrong and you need to look out for that, and twisting their words and saying they're not doing the job right and they're kind of implying that they're incompetent, that's the scary part for me.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that we have 16 intelligence agencies. That's so many. That's more than, I'll do the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the OPP, I don't know, the ODB, there's a lot.
There's a lot. And Trump doesn't trust them. And so there was a big story yesterday about how he plans to restructure the intelligence organizations that work for the government, and that he wants to, change some of the individuals that are employed by it. Look, there's an upside and downside to that. The upside is I want him to trust the intel coming from these intelligence organizations, because should there be any information regarding a potential imminent threat to the United States, I want him to trust it. And if he thinks it's politicized, then that's a problem. But at the same time, he talks about downsizing. I don't know what he means by that. Does he mean minimizing their role? I mean, I have no idea. But
What he means is how he does business.
Yeah.
And how he does business is large statement. Wait to see how you respond.
Yeah.
You being someone who's probably not on his side. and then waits to see how people who are on his side respond. That's what you have to learn about Donald Trump. And a lot of us just have to say, no, that's not okay. Another thing he does is blatantly misinterpret the statements of things like intelligence. So when he clings onto a statement like, there's no proof that any voting machines were tampered.
Right.
That narrow interpretation of the change in an election is what he latches onto to say, see, I agree with you. Everyone is on the same page here. There was no change in the outcome of the election. But then you look at every trend line that happened as the pre-voting process unfolded. And it was the leaked emails that changed everyone's opinions. Now, when I look at this, I think to myself, okay, yeah, it's bad that Russia leaked the emails. That's terrible. I don't think they should do that. I'm embarrassed for the nation that Russia was able to do that. And I'm going to say Russia because I see all these reports. And it's not like qualified the way the CIA's assessment of WMDs was like in the back of it. Like, actually, not everyone agrees with this. Not everybody agrees with this. It's like, nah, we're all with you on the same thing. But then I think of the things that were leaked during the election, and I'm sure Russia was like, oh, what the DNC is doing is really crappy. And folks are going to see that it's crappy. And I think the lukewarm response from a lot of us about it is like, yeah, but what I learned was really depressing. Now I'm just kind of in a funk that this party apparatus was that messed up. So I'm not going to fight back as hard as I would have. Yeah. And it wouldn't have had as much effect if there was no there when they did hack.
Yeah, look, there were a lot of factors that went into someone like Donald Trump winning. And, we've said time and time again, at least I've said time and time again, Hillary Clinton was a very, very flawed candidate. And one of the reasons why she was flawed was because of the strategy that she and the DNC used to undermine Bernie Sanders during the primaries. Now, would the American public know without a shadow of a doubt that they had done that without the leaked emails? Of course not. So did the leaked emails have an impact? Of course they did, right? But those leaked emails provided accurate information about what was going on with the DNC. Okay, I really wish that things had gone differently, and I wish that they hadn't undermined Bernie Sanders, and I wish we had a candidate that wasn't as flawed. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Now, again, Donald Trump is our president. So regardless of how much progressives hated Hillary Clinton, regardless of how much you don't trust what the CIA is sharing with you because of, past mistakes and past bad intel that they've had, and by the way, there's been a lot, so I understand the skepticism. Do you care about our future elections, and do you care about protecting them? Because I do. And if there's any evidence indicating that any country, whether it be Russia, whether it be Armenia, whether it be Germany, I don't care, has any influence over our elections or any ability to hack into our computer systems, we need to do something to protect ourselves. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. I think that, okay, so the comedian has to come at some point because this is depressing. But I think the funniest headline that I saw is Trump is against intelligence.
Yeah.
And I just think
it's accurate.
Sometimes I feel like somebody invited me to an asylum.
Yeah.
And I'm there and I'm like, is anybody else seeing what's going on? Because so when I was growing up, one of the things that I was taught was never talk about family stuff in front of the company. And unfortunately, our president-elect thinks that everything is cool to put on Twitter. Like, it's just amazing to me how many things he tweets about that
like
are...
the man-child, by the way.
Yeah.
He tweets, first of all, his tweets are a mix of man-child insults toward people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, which we'll get to in hour 2 of the show. And then important things regarding foreign policy. And part of the reason why he does that is because he doesn't do press conferences. He barely even does media interviews anymore. Like the most recent one that I heard of was an interview that he did with the New York Times, and I was actually shocked that he even gave the New York Times a statement, because he only communicates in 140 characters or less. That's it.
Let's just hope the nuclear codes are longer than 142 characters.
And he's DJT now. Did you see that?
Oh, God, we'll get to that.
He has a new signature. But what I'm saying is, it's just, I think it's ridiculous, but it makes us vulnerable. And I agree with you. I think that, I'm by far Mensa But it doesn't take Mensa to know that the others are watching. When I went to Israel last year, and I went to Africa, and I went to Canada, people were laughing. They were like, the cab driver was like, you can come here. The guy from The Apprentice, he's always on Twitter. Now that guy is about to be in office.
Yep.
And everything that he vomits onto Twitter makes us more vulnerable as a nation. And that's what you should be worried about. The two groups of people are the helpless ones that are us, who were like, we can't do anything, and the hopeless ones who think that this shit is okay.
Help us with Operation Watchdog. Help us hire 4 new reporting teams. We could be the watchers on the wall. Make sure we keep Trump and the establishment in check. TYTnetwork.com/go.